I never expected my life to be turned upside down, not in this way. At 32, I find myself sharing my story online, a place I never thought I'd be, but here I am, recounting a tale of family betrayal, ambition, and the quest for validation. It all started when I was expelled from my family home. Why, you ask? Because I had the audacity to pay for my MBA without relying on their support. And why did that matter? Because my sister, Sarah, 36, the so-called golden child, couldn't bear it. The situation spiraled into something I never anticipated, and now here I am, venting to strangers online hoping for some guidance, or even just a listening ear. From the very beginning, I knew I was the underdog. Growing up in a small suburban town outside Chicago, it was always clear that Sarah was the favorite. If she brought home an A on her report card, my parents would throw a celebration. If I did the same, the response was minimal. "That's nice. What's for dinner?" Sarah was the star of the family. Everything she did seemed effortless, and she did it all. School plays, she was always the lead. Sports captain, naturally. Top grades, a given. Meanwhile, I was the quiet, awkward one. I preferred being behind the scenes, focused on my books, my coding, and my future. My parents were so proud of Sarah, they practically worshipped her. When she went off to a prestigious business school, they paid for everything: tuition, living expenses, even her spring break trips to Cancun. They would brag about her achievements to anyone who would listen. Meanwhile, I was scrimping and saving, taking out loans and working part-time jobs just to get through my college years. I earned honors in computer science, but did I get a single ounce of recognition? Not even close. My mom's response was always the same. "Have you seen Sarah's graduation pictures? Wasn't she gorgeous?" Fast forward to my professional life. I was managing projects at a digital company. It wasn't a bad job, but I wanted more. I dreamed of launching my own business, rising to a management position, or even something higher. That's when I made the decision to apply for an MBA. The catch? Tuition was sky high, 6 figures. I figured my parents, who had fully funded Sarah's education, might be willing to help me out too. After all, I wasn't asking them to pay for everything. I just needed help co-signing a loan to lighten the financial burden. But when I brought it up at a family dinner, I was met with shock. They refused outright, and I wasn't even asking for a handout. I just wanted their support, yet they couldn't even co-sign a loan. Their reasoning? They had already spent their money on Sarah's education, and now it was time to focus on the future of the family restaurant. It was like they were willing to throw all their savings into a failing business but couldn't spare a penny for my future. I was furious, but I had no choice but to reach out to my Aunt Margaret. Aunt Margaret is my father's older sister, a successful neurosurgeon and in my eyes the polar opposite of my parents. She's grounded, kind, and always made time for me, even when my parents acted indifferent. There was a lot of tension between my family and Aunt Margaret. My dad especially resented her success, feeling overshadowed by her. But I was desperate. When I asked Aunt Margaret for help, she didn't hesitate. "Of course I'll help," she said. "I've always believed in your potential." Her words were a relief, but I was worried about the fallout if my father found out, so I asked her to keep it quiet, which she kindly agreed to do. Things went smoothly for a while. My tuition was covered and I was preparing to start my MBA program. For once, I felt like I was on the right path. That is, until Sarah found out. I don't know how, maybe she snooped through my emails, maybe she overheard something, but she found out, and she was furious. One evening, after a long day at work, I came home to a scene that left me speechless. The house was eerily silent, and the air felt heavy with tension. I walked into the living room to find all my belongings packed in boxes. My heart sank as I saw Sarah standing there, wearing a smug, triumphant expression. My parents were sitting on the couch, their faces a mixture of disappointment and anger. "Explain this," my father demanded, tossing a pile of papers in front of me. As I picked them up, I realized they were emails between Aunt Margaret and me. Only they weren't real. Sarah had doctored them. She had fabricated emails to make it look like I had betrayed the family, sharing our restaurant's trade secrets in exchange for my tuition money. I couldn't believe it. This wasn't true, but my parents didn't care. My mother was crying and my father was livid. "We trusted you," he said. But the trust was always with Sarah. She was always their golden child. It was as if all the years I had spent being a good daughter, working hard and staying out of trouble, meant nothing. "I want you out," my father said coldly. "We don't want a traitor in this house." I begged them to understand, to listen to me. But it didn't matter. They refused to see the truth. Sarah had won. I left with nothing but the clothes on my back and a few boxes of my belongings. The neighbors were watching, no doubt curious about the scene. I felt humiliated, betrayed, and utterly alone. I called Aunt Margaret, sobbing uncontrollably. Without hesitation, she told me to come to her apartment. Now I'm living with Aunt Margaret. She's offered me not just a place to stay, but the support I never had. She believes in me when no one else does. But despite everything, I can't shake the feeling of betrayal. How do I move forward from this? How do I trust again? My MBA program starts soon and I should be excited, but all I feel is confusion and hurt. Aunt Margaret tells me that success is the best revenge, but how do I rebuild my life when I feel so broken? When I feel like my own family has turned their back on me? How do I show up for myself, let alone for the people in my MBA program? I feel like I'm drowning and I need a lifeline. 3 years of silence. 3 years of no contact with Sarah or my parents. At first it was painful, almost unbearable, but as time passed, I began to understand that their absence was in fact allowing me to grow in ways I could never have imagined while under their roof. I had created a life I could be proud of, free from their judgment, free from the constant comparisons, and most importantly, free from the pressure to measure up to Sarah's success. Life, however, has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. Last Saturday, just when I thought I had everything figured out, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, I barely recognized the person standing before me. Sarah, the golden child, looked nothing like the confident, superior woman I had known. Gone were the fancy clothes and air of entitlement. Instead, she stood there in a plain sweater and worn jeans, with dark circles under her eyes, and her hair hastily tied up. She didn't look like the sister I remembered, but rather someone who had hit rock bottom. "Can we talk?" she asked in a quiet, almost meek voice. Despite everything that had happened between us, curiosity won out over anger and I let her in. She sat uneasily on my couch, fidgeting with her hands. "I need your help," she said finally. "The family business, it's in trouble, big trouble." The words hit me harder than I expected. She went on to explain that the restaurant, our parents' prized family business, was on the verge of bankruptcy. Their expensive expansion plans had failed miserably, and they were drowning in debt from loans they couldn't repay. Sarah's voice trembled as she admitted, "Dad's talking about filing for bankruptcy. Mom's a wreck. I don't know what to do." I couldn't deny the mix of emotions swirling inside me. There was a small part of me that felt a sense of satisfaction, a twisted sense of justice. This was the consequence of everything my family had put me through, wasn't it? But another part of me, something I didn't quite recognize, felt a twinge of something like pity, or perhaps compassion. After all, Sarah wasn't the invincible woman I had once known. She was a desperate person, in need of help. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, still unsure of her intentions. "What do you expect me to do?" Her eyes filled with desperation. "You're doing great in your new job, and with your MBA," she said, her voice breaking. "I was hoping, maybe you could help us. Maybe you could offer some advice, or..." She trailed off, and I knew what she was really asking for: money. The irony hit me like a punch in the stomach. After everything that had happened, after 3 years of silence, Sarah was standing at my door asking for my help. The black sheep had become the savior of the golden child. "Let me get this straight," I said, keeping my voice calm despite the storm inside. "After everything that happened, after 3 years of silence, you show up and expect me to help?" Sarah seemed genuinely embarrassed, though she didn't offer much more than an apology. "I know I messed up," she said softly, her eyes downcast. I lost it when I found out Aunt Margaret was helping you. I'm sorry." Her words, though laced with regret, didn't feel like enough. "Sorry doesn't cut it, Sarah," I replied, my voice steady. "You have no idea what I went through because of what you did." "I know," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "But we're still family, right? Family supports each other. Just think about it." The word family echoed in my mind. It stung. After everything, were we still family? I needed time to think, I told her. With a sad expression, she left her number and left. Now here I am, stuck in a dilemma. On one hand, I've worked so hard to build a life for myself, free from the toxicity of my parents, free from the constant comparisons to Sarah. Do I really want to re-enter that world? The part of me that still cares, that feels for them as they drown in their own mess, wants to help, but another part of me wants to stay far away. I've been hurt too much already. A tiny part of me wonders if this is a chance to show them what they've lost, to finally prove that I am not the failure they always believed me to be. But is it worth it? After everything they've done, do I owe them anything? And even if I help them, will things ever truly change, or will I always remain second best in their eyes? I've been grappling with these questions for days. Should I help my parents and risk being hurt again, or should I stand firm and let them deal with the consequences of their actions? I'm leaning towards stepping up, offering them a helping hand, but part of me is screaming to walk away. Aunt Margaret has been supportive as always. She's told me she'll stand by me no matter what I decide, but she also warned me. Sometimes helping others means sacrificing yourself, she said. Make sure you're not setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. It's a hard decision. I've spoken with some of my coworkers about it, and one of them said something that has stuck with me. Sometimes the most professional thing you can do is keep your personal life separate from your work. But I can't stop thinking about the crisis management courses I took during my MBA. Could I help them? Do I have a responsibility to try? Or should I let them face the consequences of their own actions? I don't know. I'm torn. What do you think, Reddit? Should I help them? Or should I protect myself and let them deal with the mess they've created? I'm more determined than ever, though, no matter what happens. I've grown stronger. I am no longer the insecure, frightened girl I once was. Whatever I decide, it will be on my terms. I know my worth, and I won't let anyone take that from me. Update. Things have taken an unexpected turn. A week after Sarah visited, my parents showed up at my office. I couldn't believe it. They had tracked me down, and when I saw them standing in the lobby, looking older and more worn out, I knew something had changed. We sat down at a coffee shop, and for the first time in 3 years, they apologized. They admitted they were wrong, that they shouldn't have kicked me out, and that they should have supported me. But when I asked why they were reaching out now, after 3 years of silence, the truth came out. Their restaurant was not just struggling, it was failing. They had overextended themselves, made illegal moves to stay afloat, and now they were facing potential criminal charges. They wanted my help. They wanted me to bail them out. The same parents who had turned their backs on me now saw me as their only hope. I was stunned. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. You kicked me out, believed the worst of me, and now you want me to help you? I asked. And when I said no, they were shocked. My father even yelled, "After everything we've done for you?" But I was done. I had worked too hard to get where I am now. I told them that I couldn't help them. I couldn't sacrifice everything I'd worked for to save them from their own mess. And then I did something I never thought I would. I reported what I knew about their illegal activities. I contacted the authorities. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I knew it was the right decision. Now the restaurant is closed and an audit is underway. Sarah and my parents are facing severe legal consequences. As for me, I'm doing well. I have a successful career, and I'm finally free from the toxic family dynamics that held me back for so long. It's been a tough journey, but I'm stronger than ever. I've learned that I don't need anyone's approval but my own, and no matter what happens next, I will always choose myself. After everything that has transpired, one thing remains clear. I've never been closer to Aunt Margaret. She has become more than just family to me. She's been my rock through all the chaos. When all the dust finally settles, we're planning a trip together. Something to look forward to after all the stress and uncertainty. I won't pretend this has been easy. There have been moments when I've questioned whether I made the right decision. There were times I felt guilty. But every time I reflect on the suffering my family caused me, the manipulation, the favoritism, the years of being overlooked and belittled, I know, deep down, that I made the right choice. 3 years ago, I was confused, hurt, and utterly alone after my family kicked me out. I had no idea what would become of me. But today I stand before you independent, successful in my career, and surrounded by people who truly care about me. I'm finally free from the toxic influence of my family. Some people may have wished for a happy family reunion, for me to come back and forgive, but this is my story, and I'm proud of how far I've come. I've learned that sometimes the family you choose, the ones who love and support you for who you are, matters more than the family you were born into. If you're struggling with toxic family dynamics, or if you're facing tough choices that force you to choose yourself over your relatives, remember, you have every right to put your own health and happiness first. You are entitled to set boundaries and protect your well-being. For so long I lived in the shadow of my family's expectations and demands. But now I've built a life on my own terms. I've found my voice, I've reclaimed my power, and I'm no longer bound by the past. I'm moving forward with a sense of peace and strength that I never thought possible. I want to take a moment to thank all of you on Reddit for your support throughout this journey. Your advice, encouragement, and perspective have meant the world to me. It's been a long and difficult road, but now I'm embracing a fresh start and a future I can be proud of. Cheers to new beginnings, to creating our own happiness, and to the power of choosing ourselves over everything else. Thank you, truly, for helping me find the courage to take this path. The key message from this story is the importance of self-worth, resilience, and the courage to set boundaries, especially when it comes to toxic relationships. Throughout the journey, the protagonist learns that family loyalty does not mean enduring manipulation, favoritism, or emotional abuse. Choosing oneself by making difficult decisions and prioritizing personal growth and well-being is not an act of selfishness but of self-preservation. In life, we may face situations where family ties are strained or even broken, but it is essential to remember that our mental and emotional health should never be sacrificed for others' expectations or demands. The protagonist's decision to sever ties with her family despite the pain led her to a place of strength, independence, and fulfillment. This story teaches that it is never too late to reclaim control of your life, heal from past wounds, and find true support from those who genuinely care for you. For the elderly audience, this serves as a reminder that it's never too late to choose peace, to establish healthy boundaries, and to surround oneself with people who offer love and respect. Let go of toxic relationships and embrace the power of self-love and personal growth. Your happiness is yours to shape, and sometimes, letting go is the path to finding a more peaceful and joyful life. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in today's video, please comment 1 below to let us know. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and share it with friends or family who could benefit from the message. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings about the video. How did it resonate with you? Drop your comments below and let's continue the conversation. Until next time, take care and keep moving forward.